Hi guys, this is EOS, and I am going to do a quick 5-minute first look at texture by Devious machines. Texture, the obvious thing it does is it layers noise, different samples, different sub bass, different drums, chords, whatever. It layers them over top of anything. And it also does a lot of other stuff too. It's a transient designer. It can, and it's dynamic. It's not just layering a sample on. It's kind of following the envelope of whatever sound is being fed into it. And you can use the decay to create a tail, so you can create these really complex, realistic sounding layers that sound like they belong with the noise, as opposed to sounding like you're just triggering two sounds at the same time. You can replace drums with it or add extra drum layers to a recorded drum track or drum loop. I already mentioned, but you can add subs to any sound. You can add distortion, vinyl crackle, and like Foley, crowd noise, risers. There's a bunch of factory presets. I made a quick preset that I just use. This is mostly what I do. I grab a sample out of here. This is your sample. Actually, let's go through the user interface first. So really helpful right here is your info panel that you can just hover over anything in here and it'll tell you what you're looking at. It's modular. These things can all be turned on and off, the different pieces. There's an original EQ that just edits the dry. There's a mix for dry wet right here. I find myself a lot of times going quite into the dry. I like to turn up a sound. If I'm using it as an effect, then I usually turn it up until I can really hear the effect, and then turn it down a little bit, and turn it back down until I can just barely hear it, just to add something to it. If I'm using it as like a equal layer, I still find myself in the dry a lot of times, quite a bit. My preset on 28. This is where you would load in a sample. You can drag anything in, and there's a lot of controls, including this granular control right here. That's really fun. In here is where you can kind of see when you're playing something what's where the threshold. This is what's triggering the threshold for the gate. Then I can control how long it's on, control the hold, control how long it takes to come on. So let's go in here and grab something. So I really like how it's just easy to get a really good dynamic envelope with this. It's very fast, yeah, let's go through a couple of these presets on the hi-hats, and then we'll go on a pluck really quick, and you can kind of see what's going on. I'm not gonna mess with the synth one right now. So that's cool. This is 100% wet. So this pure tone, I'm just gonna save this as another one. Sub adder. Yeah, this is really cool because I could create a kick drum just from using this texture synth. Maybe even multiple instances of it, but That's cool. Let's keep going through the... Oh, we're back in the... That's interesting. All right. That could be really nice. That could be a cool riser, limiting it. Let's see what else we have here. Kick processors. It's probably waiting for a bass input. That's why I'm not getting anything there. Add byte, and you can go in and modify all of the controls for all of these, which is really cool. So something I might do here is come grab an LFO. I'm gonna have to do this tutorial in 2 parts. So let's grab the texture frequency. I don't like so much that one. So now it's kind of overpowering it. And I might even make this really quick. Just add some dirt. Alright, here's the modulation tab. And I'm actually going to pause the tutorial here and make a second part, add them together. Hey guys, this is the second part of my tutorial for Texture by Devious Machines. In this one, we're going to go through the rest of the tabs that I didn't cover, the modulation, texture EQ, and original EQ. Just kind of fool around with playing with this with some drum loops. So what I have right here is I selected the interval chatter. Here's without texture on. I find that this works especially well with really clean drum beats, ones that are cluttered with reverb and other things. A lot of times it can get messy really quick doing this, but that's also why you have this texture EQ and original EQ thing. So on the texture EQ, I'm actually going to do a high pass. It looks like they have a pretty steep curve, because I don't really want it muddying up my low end and interfering with my bass tones and stuff. I'm gonna leave the rest. I would probably EQ the original sample using a different EQ right before it. But that's not exactly the same, because this is what the signal that's being used to trigger texture. So if you want to use the same signal to trigger texture and only want to EQ the original sample, then that helps. So another thing that's really awesome, let's set up a loop right here. If you double click on values, they return to 0, whatever their 0 was. But let's look at the modulation tab. There's an LFO and there's an envelope modulation on this to the pitch. So up here we have sine, triangle, square, saw, plus, and saw minus. And you can kind of see I can change the starting, where the pitch starts, and how much right here. So I'll probably set it to an octave. Or actually, that's only going halfway up, right? Because it's an octave range from here to here. So let's do 24, so it's doing an octave up and an octave down. So I'm going to throw a second one on and just bring all of this stuff back to turn off modulation. So this is the one that's pitching. I'm going to make it even more dry. See what it sounds like on these hi-hats. It's an interesting effect, like someone's talking in the background. Alright, let's leave on the pitching one now and then mess around with the sample on this one that doesn't pitch. Or let's import a sample. The guitar stab's not doing me that good. Let's mess with the sample. Let's drag the length. I could see this working really well with a chord progression. It's very similar though to if I was to just drag the sample directly out, drag a sample directly out here. Let's turn off texture, or let's turn off the one that's not pitching. So what I'm saying is that that other effect I think can be achieved better just by putting a gate on, turning on the sidechain source. I would like this better because I have full control over the sample as opposed to loading it into texture, but I still plan on buying texture and using it a ton on probably every track from now on. Hope you guys liked the video. I'm EOS. Check out some of my music on SoundCloud or Spotify if you like what you're learning. I'm going to throw together a little beat using texture and just see what we come up with. Let's see what this first chord is by convert melody to new MIDI track. Looks like Ableton thinks it's in D sharp. Let's